Welcome to the Narrowing Path, walking the spiritual walk. My name is Steve Van Heiderstein. Thank y'all for coming on and joining me again this evening for another reading from James Allen's Daily Meditation. September has been really winding up to be a fantastic month. They always seem to end with a bang, and yesterday just talking about making the distinctions between what different things, and then that sounds very self-evident, very obvious, but we talked about discernment and discrimination, but not in the way that's commonly talked about today in the news and media and so in the social circles. We're talking about just looking at things in a way where we can identify differences so we can make the best decision. It's an important thing to be able to master and harness. It's a skill, really, to be able to move forward in life and make better decisions. So here we go. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning that this will be the first time that I hear it or read it right here on this podcast with y'all. So you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. This is September 27th reading of James Allen's Daily Meditation. Confusion, suffering, and spiritual darkness follow the thoughtless. The man who is afraid to think searchingly upon his opinions and to reason critically upon his position will have to develop moral courage before he can acquire discrimination. All right. A man must be true to himself, fearless with himself before he can perceive the pure principles and the all-revealing light of truth. The more truth is inquired of, the brighter it shines. It cannot suffer under examination and analysis. The more error is questioned, the darker it grows. It cannot survive the entrance of pure and searching thought. To prove all things is to find the good and to throw away the evil. He who reasons and meditates learns to discriminate. He who discriminates discovers the eternally true. Harmony, blessedness, and the light of truth attend upon the thoughtful. Wow. That's an illuminating reading. And I say that as a joke because it talked about the light often in this, but also in reality too, right? This is this in itself is a truth. This isn't a law. This is a principle. This is something we have to heed. Warning almost. We have to heed. Confusion, suffering, and spiritual darkness follow the thoughtless. So selfishness, self-centeredness, confusion, suffering, spiritual darkness. That's a pretty hefty term, really. It's very lonely, very isolated. I feel like I know what that means. I don't feel like it's incorrectly used or so obscure that it doesn't make sense. I think I relate to it, honestly. It's a very specific sounding term to me. So, confusion, suffering, and spiritual darkness follow the thoughtless. So, if you have these things in your life, ambiguity, indecisiveness, confusion, suffering, and misery, then spiritual darkness, just selfishness, self-centeredness, disconnection, isolation, loneliness. That follows the thoughtless. That means, and this doesn't mean you're dumb. This doesn't mean somebody that's can't think. This is more so somebody that runs purely based on emotion. right? Or as James Allen would say, purely based on passions. Your decisions are aggressive because you're angry now. Your decisions are kind because you're happy now. It's completely erratic, depending on the type of day you're having. So that's what we were talking about when we talk about thoughtless. Here we go. The man who is afraid to think searchingly upon his opinions and to reason critically upon his position will have to develop moral courage before he can acquire discrimination. So, right here, one thing to pull out of this is discrimination is the examination of our own opinions and positions to find the truth within them and to critically vet them, meaning to actually have a substantial reasoning and understanding as to why you believe what you do. Be able to actually fortify your opinion for somehow. And now those abilities are essential to develop and acquire discrimination, to be able to disseminate truths and things, to be able to differentiate between what's going on, between the choices that you have available to you, right? And if you can't do this, if you don't, if you're too afraid to think searchingly upon your opinions and to reason critically upon your position, you have to develop moral courage. You have to learn to take the actions and to have the faith. Some people don't want to look behind their opinion because it has some ugly truths about them and their belief system. That's just the reality. And I get it. When I got sober and when I started walking this path, there was a lot of things I didn't want to look at. I just wanted to accept them as truths and move forward and know why would anyone question me on it? But ignorance leads to sin every single time. Ignorance is sin. So, developing moral courage took some faith and some belief to take those actions. A man must be true to himself, fearless with himself, before he can perceive the pure principles and all revealing light of truth. This is one of the most important virtues that I believe an individual needs to practice. It's the spiritual virtue, spiritual principle of the first step in 12-step programs, and it's honesty. And we're talking about that right now, at least a manifestation of that right now. A man must be true to himself, fearless with himself, before he can perceive the pure principles and all revealing light of truth. So you have to have the rigorous and utmost honesty about these things with yourself. And unless you can do that, you can't fully explore your opinions and your positions because they're not fully formed yet. And your ego's getting in the way from allowing you to cultivate that. You must be true to yourself and true to himself and fearless with himself. 100% in reality and truth, and honest and truthful. And that's the only way you can find the all revealing light of truth, the truth behind the statements, the truth behind the positions and the opinions, and where you show up and where you stop. And the willingness to change some of those things too is very important. The more truth is inquired of, the brighter it shines. It cannot suffer under examination and analysis. Truth, the more you question something and the more real or the more hardened your belief in is it, or more convicted of your belief you are, and after examination, that is a truth most times, right? So the more truth is inquired of, the brighter it shines. The more evident it seems, the more universal it becomes. The more you really poke and prod at these things and you really get down to what these principles and practices are all about, you get, let me say that again. The more we do this, the more we become assured that it is a truth. If it is a truth, it does not, what did he say here? It cannot suffer under the examination and analysis. When you find a truth, when you find, and that's usually by pulling apart your opinions, that's usually by being willing to take a different perspective, right? You'll find the truth and you'll be able to rest in that rather than your biased and stereo, your bias and tainted opinions. The more error, so when truth is questioned, it shines brighter and it does not suffer under examination analysis. The more error is questioned, though, the darker it grows. It cannot survive the entrance of pure and searching thought. So the mask of truth and the mask of spiritual alignment that some of these false truths have on the surface level, the more you question them, the more you really tear them apart. Guess what? It will not survive. It'll get torn apart so quickly. If it's a selfish, self centered, biased, hateful thought, judgmental thought, it won't stand up. It won't even, there won't even be an argument for it to stand up on. To prove all things is to find the good and throw away the evil, right? So we're looking for all of these spiritual truths that underline everything. That's the point, right? To whittle away and carve out the truths and the good and the knowledge that we know and the things that are given to us and presented to us. Throw away the rest. And those are the things we stand on. That's the foundation of our living. That's where the confidence, the confidence and the strength show up. Throw away the evil. He who reasons and meditates learns to discriminate, and he who discriminates discovers the eternally true. Discriminating the true from the false, the good from the evil, the selfless from the selfish, right? This is a discriminating eye. We can see right through the facades. We can see right through the lies, our own and others, because we've learned to, because we've taken the time and the willingness and the honesty to actually do these things. Be able to have that skill, to have that quality of discrimination and find the truth in all things. He who discriminates discovers the eternally true. The always has been, there always will be. The eternally true. It closes with this: harmony, blessedness, and light are the of truth. Attend upon the thoughtful. harmony, blessedness, and the light of truth. What beautiful qualities, beautiful descriptors of a life to have, right? Or a personality or an energy to give off. Harmony, blessedness, and the light of truth. Attend upon the thoughtful. Those willing to do the work will find these blessings. Not because of their goals, their side effects of doing the right thing. There's side effects of living well. Everything human beings take the selfish perspective for, I feel like, is always actually just a side effect of living right. But we set it as a goal, and it's a self destroying goal when you set these emotions and these sporadic events as your goal. You'll always be disappointed. So, well, all right. Well, thank you all for joining me again today. This is a great reading today. Absolutely loved it. I hope y'all did too. And just thank y'all for jumping on and listening to me and talk about this tonight. I'm always grateful for that. So I will be back again tomorrow. Until next time. Thanks.